We are
Oh,
good
I
to go.
heard
Look
those
at me getting
magic
all
words. I heard those
techie.
magic words. We're
That's
recording in progress. Here we
recording in
go.
progress. A little bit easier than last night when I had to try to manipulate slides and share and minimize the screen. Hi, Walt. How are you?
Doing well.
Good.
Sharon, how are you? I'm here in the living room like Sunny Hill on Sunday mornings on 94.1 WIP Talk Radio. We're in the living room. We got media and Delco versus the world in a Little League World Series. So we don't have a lot of people watching live. I'm watching the game for those who are watching us live. Media is rallying in the bottom of the fifth inning. It's now 2-1. And, we're hoping for a comeback. I didn't want to mess up the hairdo and put on a rally cap, but just pretend it's there.
That's awesome. So if there is a starting of a comeback, go ahead and just, go live with it and
Oh, yeah.
and
I'll
tell
give
us
you the
all about it.
play-by-play.
That's awesome.
Unfortunately, we just ended the bottom of the fifth, so we're going to the top of the sixth out in Williamsport. And Texas is winning, unfortunately, 2-1, but it's not over till it's over, as
That's
Yogi
right.
says.
That is right.
One of your Yankee legends there.
Right there. I don't go anywhere without this one. And yes, for anybody who's curious, because I've been asked this before, I do own two of these. They're identical. One is the clean hat, one is the dirty hat when I go running and sweat. Just thought I'd share that.
Okay.
But here we are on Wednesday, August 16th. I believe it's the 16th. And we're talking about self-care and wellness and living your best life. And this is a tough week for me personally. I have 3 kids, and 2 of them are twins, and they're both off to college for the first time this
Wow.
weekend. And luckily, Sophia won't have her car fixed yet, so she gets to stay a couple extra days with us next week. But let me tell you, the time's going quick, and it's a little scary. And I have found myself in the past that I didn't do self-care because life was always around everybody else, or the new season, or it's the new school year, or it's packing, it's moving. You just moved your son Ben into college for his second year, right?
Yeah, I can tell you, I mean, my kids are some years apart, so I've done this a couple times.
Right.
But with Ben this weekend, it was just a whirlwind because he was moving into a house for the first time. So we had acquired things to fill the house and his space in the house. So we rented a U-Haul. We had to pick up the U-Haul. That was a thunderstorm in waiting, and then we drove. Ben and I had to lift the U-Haul, and I'm no spring chicken anymore, although not that I've become Chicken Little in any way either, but he's got this long walk that we've had to do with that furniture. Thank God we bought the dolly, but the whole emotional piece. I mean, I'll probably say it's fair to say, maybe it's not fair to say for everybody, but I think guys kind of handle dropping off kids, daughters or sons, a little differently than moms do.
Yeah.
Paige, who's been on with us a few times, certainly had very rough. She's a boy mom for sure, and in those moments, right, when all these things are going on, and we have tons of clients who are going through the same experience right now. It's very hard to practice self-care. It's very hard to put yourself first when you're, helping your child move into a new location with all the worries that are associated, whether it's urban, rural, close, far. Essentially, you're going to be saying goodbye or see you later for 6, 8, 7, 9 months, depending. So yeah, there's a lot of stress, a lot of stressful reactions you can have to that, right? That may not be what we would do in a normal day, right? So we had a great time, great weekend, did a lot of fun. We went to Kennywood, we're out in Pitt, so we went to Kennywood, wanted to go to a Pirates game, got rained out. But we ate something I've never eaten before. Have you ever had steak on a stone, cooked on a stone?
No.
So there's this restaurant, North Shore Tavern. Hey, North Shore Tavern, if you hear I said this, start sending some tip money my way. Maybe I'll come back. But they do all their meals on these stones. So they kind of get the meal started. Ben and I both got steaks. Paige got seafood, and it looked like it came out really well. We didn't necessarily share bites, but they brought out these New York strips that were on a stone, heated to 850 degrees. And they were like rare. and they told us to start slicing it real thin, flip it every now and then, and you'll get it to your desired doneness. Well, Ben and I started doing this, and like within minutes, these things were medium rare, and we were moving. They give you another plate to move them into. One of the absolute best steaks that I've ever had.
That's so cool.
And
All
it's
right, we
called
need to
steak on a
go.
stone. Steak on a
Steak on a
stone.
stone. Not something I would normally look at on a menu and be okay with, but now, thank you. That's pretty cool.
And another thing that I would say is, we talk a lot about self-care, and, everyone says that, I hate to use the word diet, and you know why, because the first three letters of that word,
That's
right?
right.
But the point is that when you're making good choices about what you're eating and what you're having with these things, that steak on the stone, which was fantastic, was perfectly acceptable in a self-care program where you're trying to maintain a healthy lifestyle, right? There's
That's
nothing
right.
wrong with that.
Pure
All
protein.
fit in. It wasn't with a loaded baked potato. It wasn't with a bunch of bread. It was with some vegetables and a side salad, which was, again, very tasty, very well prepared. Homemade dressings made by, the chef in the restaurant, North Shore Tavern. If they hear it again, I'll give you my Venmo number. We can get some funding for the next trip. But hey, it was a great experience. We posted those pictures on Facebook. So if anyone's my friend or Paige's friend or even Ben's friend, you can go on those and see what that steak looked like. And I guarantee if you go out there, and the cool thing is it's right there in the area where all the stadiums are. Now I'm going to say Heinz Field because I could never pronounce that new name of that field, the Steelers playing. So
Yep.
it's Heinz Field to me, and PNC Park. It's right in that area, and it was really unique and a very nice evening for us.
That's awesome. And I think we have to take the time to spend um, with our family or with our loved ones or with friends. And this time of year, teachers are going back to school and principals are meeting with their teachers and classrooms are being prepared. And whether you have a little one going off to preschool or kindergarten, or you're getting your high school senior or your sophomore, whatever you're getting, um, we have to remember that the quality time we have together is vital to your well-being. Um,
Right. Right.
and yet at the same time, don't ignore that self-care. And I'm finding myself a little on edge this week, knowing what we've got to
Sure.
do. And but took a nice long walk this afternoon, drank my essential amino acids right afterwards. I'm staying well hydrated. I'm eating every couple hours. I'm watching my bedtime because the brain starts to go, and then oh, I did it again. This is talking with the
Wow.
hands, right?
Well,
Um,
better that than hanging
but
yourself with the cord.
that is true. But I get in my head and I gotta do this, I gotta do this, and then I can't relax, right? So
Right.
our self-care plan helps us be present with those people that we love
Right.
more naturally and more loving. And have you found, and again, it's you're right, it's different. Moms and dads respond differently to the drop-offs. But as last week we talked a lot about with Margie, a former or just recently retired RN nurse,
Yep.
and Paige and I talked about women and us needing to take care of ourselves. Can you share some perspective just in terms of what are some roadblocks maybe that men hit, and what would you give them as some self-care advice with your experience?
So, the one thing that I think that, I don't know if this would be again atypical of every guy, but I think it's atypical of people, right? Because people do what people do. But
Okay.
on our coaching couple Facebook page, which again I invite everyone to check out, it's a public page, so you can all find out. The cover picture happens to be the power of yet. And in that power of yet is I can't do this yet. I can't start this yet. I can't eat this way yet. I can't walk this way yet. I can't exercise yet. I can't make new friends yet. I can't take on. So when does yet turn into the word will? I will do something. I will self-care myself, if that's even a term. But the idea is I think guys are professional procrastinators. I know even at work sometimes, if there's a project that I want to do, I get that done. If there's a project that really isn't one of my favorite, I kind of put that off to the last minute, and then I cram to get it done, right? And again, maybe that's more of a people thing than a guy thing, But I think certainly the power of yet can be so overwhelming because we love as people, I believe, and I know I've been there and I'm still there. By no intents and purposes have I cleared this from my skill set is I love to talk myself out of things. In fact, my wife sometimes will see me walking around the house saying, "You're talking to yourself again." And in some ways or another, she thinks that, it's going to lead to something bad. Well, I just say to her, I'm processing something. She says, that's never good. And you know why? It's because 99% of the time, I'm not talking myself into doing something. I'm talking myself out of doing something,
Mm.
or I'm blaming something for why I'm not doing something else, which in most cases would be the better choice. Whereas we talked many times, right? Good, better, best. It would have been the best choice. But I'm looking for something worse than good because I'm not even contemplating good. I'm contemplating all the reasons why not even to start. And I think that that's where we all run into problems is that the word yet and later. I'll get to it later. And
Yeah.
then later never comes. And I would just say to everyone listening or listening to the recording that when does later come? When do you stop saying later or tomorrow and say now? Let's do it now. Let's commit now. Whatever it is, and it's not always self-care, clearly,
Yeah.
but let's commit now. How about reconnecting with someone who you haven't talked to in, say, a month or even longer? How do you reconnect with them? How do you do some of those things? Because as we know, from everything we've done together, Sharon and everybody a part of our community, is that if we don't meet regularly, if we don't see those people who are our supporters in life, the people who hold us up and pick us up in those moments necessary or needed, then, we're not our best selves every day, right? And who wakes up every day deciding that I don't want to do the best I can do today? And you can tell I got my laptop on myself because you're seeing this in sense around and vibration. But point being is no one wakes up that way every day. At least I hope nobody does. And I think that we just talk ourselves into these things. And it's the same thing with self-care. We say that we can start tomorrow. We can flip the switch. We can do this. But one day, and we've all done it, no matter what it is, and we finally said, here we go. Today's our day, right?
Yep.
Like I mean, you're an avid runner, exerciser, walker. I mean, there's got to be days that you get out of bed and really dread the thought of this is when I would normally run. Do I
Yep.
want to run? It's hot outside. Maybe I'll wait till the sun goes down, right? I mean, those things, right? They got to happen to you, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what I do is I practice this thing that we call stop, challenge, and choose. And I think, I have to find being grateful that I have another day to get a little bit better, that I know that I'll feel better after completing the task, and that it's going to help me more in the long term. It's that long-term satisfaction than the instant, I just want to roll over and snooze longer. Or, God forbid it's raining outside. I've gone running in the rain. And it feels so good when you're done. And you just have to remember, like, why do we do hard things? Well, one, because we're capable.
Yep,
And two, it feels really good when it's done. And it
yep,
keeps momentum going. I mean, if we don't continue to do things on repeat, that's why we become creatures of habit. We
yep,
become creatures of either bad habits or good habits.
right.
It's a choice, right? And yeah, there's days I don't want to do it. And then there's days I surprise myself, like even today, getting over 12,000 steps. And I had to work today and I was at my computer, but I managed to get, because it's important to me. And I think that's what it comes down to. I think we don't give ourselves enough time or self reflection to really dig deep. Again, this is kind of the woman's version of what do I really want in this world, in my life, for myself and for my family and for the people in my life. And I'm the queen of procrastination, but when it's important to me and I know it's going to take me to where I want to go, can't stop me, right?
Right.
So, get clarity on what it is that you're really looking to achieve. And it could be something really small. We did that walking challenge recently, just taking steps every day.
Yep.
I have people doing hydration challenges and sleep challenge, like any area of your life that you want to improve upon, there's a way to do it. And I think
And
the community support is vital, right?
that's exactly what I was thinking is anytime you could find a partner, it
Yeah,
always goes better.
yeah,
And that's kind of right, that's kind of why we do what we do when it comes to self-care, and we never do it alone, right? We always have a coach, and we always have a team of people trying to help people to navigate that world of self-care. And then it's rinse and repeat, because then they've learned how to they learn how to do it. And many of them have success, and not everybody has success in every method that they try, but it's a matter of trying, right? You have to try to do. If you try, then you start to do, and then once you do, you can start to succeed, and once you start
yeah,
to succeed, it kind of snowballs. But you have to take that first step, no
yeah,
matter what it is. And I know we talk always about health and self-care, and we have an end goal in mind about just sharing and caring, based on our stories. But it can be anything that you're trying to overcome or achieve,
yeah,
that just sometimes requires pulling the trigger and starting. I'm a big believer in baby steps, right? Because you can build a foundation brick by brick,
yeah,
and there's no timetable to that brick by brick. Nobody said, they always say the phrase Rome was never built in a day, and it wasn't.
yeah,
So, by going to run 10 miles one day isn't going to change what you need to do every day. So if
yeah,
you take 5 extra steps a day at the end of the month, right, it's 150 extra steps. If you do that a little bit more, it becomes 1,500 steps. Next thing you know, it's 5,000 steps. I
yeah.
even read an article the other day to where I think it might have been ARP. I was old enough to qualify to start getting their newsletters. I signed up to get the card. I think I paid $45 for 6 years. Good thing it wasn't much longer. I might not be here, right? But point being is they started the debate whether 10,000 steps was actually too many.
Yep,
Have
I
you
read
seen
that.
that? Where
Mhm.
that and then I said to myself, I had an epiphany. My goal is only 8,500, so maybe I'm onto something.
Well, it's interesting because you gotta really read through the lines and we still, if we're already doing, we don't slow down what we're doing. We keep doing
Oh
it,
no.
right?
Oh, yeah.
But you mentioned that, like, we talk a lot about health and well-being, but I'll share with you, last night on the webinar, I was moderating and using the tech, and um, I still struggle with technology. So I met with my coach afterwards, and he's like, what if you just learned how to use Zoom? Like, why don't you invest in a class or online and research? Like, even something as simple as learning the technology that's going to be used for me to help me and more people, right? That's a step that I have to be willing to take, as much as I hate technology.
Yeah,
And yet
absolutely.
it's simple enough, because if it leads me to being more efficient, productive, professional appearing, why wouldn't I do it? Because at first I won't, but it leads me to something greater.
This is an area that, it's probably something about why I don't have as much hair, right? So I think of this as DIY guys or DIY guys, whatever it is, do it yourself, right? So I have never been a do it yourselfer. My father was a carpenter, trained under a carpenter, built houses, etc. He could fix anything. But your statement just made me remember of one of my neighbors. Name was Mike. Lived near me, before we moved to the current house. And I would tell him, yeah, I needed to do this. I got to get somebody to do this. And he'd say, Walt, what do you need to do? And I tell him, well, I need to put a new door in. I probably should just do a new frame, or I need to do this in the bathroom. He says, listen, he said, go to YouTube, figure out how to do it, and then go as far as you can. And if you end up getting it done, you did a great job. And if you end up doing anything, as long as you don't cause a flood, burn the house down with electricity, so what if you break a wall? You're going to have to hire somebody to fix it anyway. So you might as well start and do it yourself. Figure it out, learn something, improve yourself. And I say to myself, every time I want to start something that I don't want to start, I think of the things Mike told me years ago about doing it myself. Now, have I become a better carpenter, electrician, or household plumber? No, not really. But have I taken more chances in life on other things that are
Yes.
excite me to do? Then absolutely. And I think that's a great example that sometimes, it's that learning is, the phrase learning is fundamental, right? But lifelong learning is
Yeah,
so rewarding
yep,
because to keep up with the changes in technology and such, you have to be willing to just do it. And you're never going to learn it unless you do it. And
yep.
I that's I think that once you can start that in any aspect of your life, it just makes everything else you need to start so much easier.
Yep, totally agree. And I think it's a beautiful thing to have people in my life and in our life that we do this all together, to be willing to raise their hand and say, I need help, I need guidance. And it's life is more fun. Like honestly, we were away, as you know, in Disney for 4 nights, and I mean, we were nonstop, and I got on rides that make me sick, and I did it anyway because why not, right? Experience and live, and because we value well-being, time with family, we value trying new things and getting better and learning and growing. It's it just there's going to be no regret at the end of my life. Whenever that comes, I'm going to look back, at least from here 10 years ago, that's when my life changed. Um, no regrets. No,
Uh,
oh, I shouldn't have waited so long, right? Going back to the later. No, the time is now for something. So
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, I agree that the best thing to do is to just get started. No matter what it is, just get started
Something.
because, I read a post from somebody today, interesting that I actually remember a post on Facebook. That's the first amazing thing in this story is that it said, you can always replace the money, you can't replace the time. Do the things you want to do, right? So, um, you know, start what you want to start. Self-care, healthcare, travel, time with your family, time with your kids. Just get started. And it's amazing what'll happen.
That's awesome. Well, I'm thoroughly enjoying Wellness Wednesdays with Walt and Dr. Sharon. Thank you. I know you've had a long day at work, but this is important to us. It helps each of us. It helps whoever's watching. Feel free to share. And before my kiddos go to college this weekend, we will be creating that YouTube channel. So that should be live coming soon. So we will see you all again next week, same time, 8:30 Eastern, and have a great week.
See ya.